Hi, Greg Lewis, MetaStock Software. Your presentation will start in about 30 seconds. I just want to take a moment to tell you about our upcoming 10th annual MetaStock Traders Conference in Southern California and how you can save $200 when you attend. You're invited to join us on October 8th and 9th, 2016 for our largest annual event packed with valuable trading information you can use to improve your portfolio. You won't want to miss this opportunity to learn from industry experts like Rob Hoffman, Greg Morris, Oscar Carboni, Vince Vora, Price Headley, and more. If you'd like to register for this event or just want to find out more, visit metastock.com/conference. The first 20 registrants save $200. If you're seeing this after October 8th, 2016, visit metastock.com/conference anyway to see about upcoming events. Thank you, and we hope you enjoy this presentation.
Let's get underway, guys. How you doing? It's Jeff Gibby. I'm going to go ahead and give you this class. Let me know if you can hear me. Thanks for coming tonight. It is a bit of a smaller class because it's everybody that bought Kirkland. Thanks for buying Wendy Kirkland's add-on. People are liking it. It's a very popular add-on right now. And I really wanted to kind of just sit down with you to kind of, with MetaStock you get a pretty good software program. Some might argue it's an awesome software product. I might be one of those people. But it is brand new software, and so sometimes it's helpful to learn the ropes and kind of learn how everything works and kind of how to manipulate things. And so really kind of the purpose of today's class is I am going to walk you through exactly how to use everything and how, to open up charts and how to look at instruments and how to view the commentary and all that kind of stuff. Thomas, yeah, everybody, you are only invited because you had the plug-in. So thank you for buying it, and thank you for everybody that's here that bought it as well. Let's go ahead and start with the boot camp. If you have questions as we go, just type them in. I'll do my best to answer them. We won't be talking a lot about Wendy's methodology per se, just because I wouldn't purport to be an expert on Wendy's methodology, but really how to use MetaStock and how to use the charting and how to use the scanning and how to kind of get the advice out of the expert advisor. So if you have questions as we go, just type them in. I'll do my best to answer them. And let's get to this part. Today's demonstration is designed to instruct you on using MetaStock and the accompanying software plugins. It's not a recommendation to buy or sell, but rather guidelines to interpreting and using specific indicators and features within the software. The information, software, and techniques presented today should only be used by investors who are aware of the risk inherent in trading. MetaStock shall have no liability for any investment decisions based on the use of the software, any trading strategies, or any information provided in connection with the company. Okay, and I think that's the extent of what we're going to do in PowerPoint. Let's just get into the software product. And I've got a few things that I definitely want to show you. It's definitely not a scripted presentation, so to speak. I think it will probably go about half an hour. We may go longer if you have a lot of questions and that kind of stuff, but really just want to show you kind of the parts and really kind of what I think is important for you to kind of get using MetaStock. So as you see, I've actually just run the scan. I ran the scan in advance to kind of just show you how that works. We're going to come back into this scan. We're not going to start with it, but it does take a couple minutes to run through the scan, so I preloaded the scan and got it running. So when you start up MetaStock for the first time, you're going to start into the Power Console. And over here you're going to have options that are available, like you can do charting, scanning, system testing, and forecasting. So those are the options that are kind of available for you. These are what we call the power tools. So we'll start with a kind of a bit of a basic chart. And what I'll do is I'll load in Dow. I'm interested to see how it closed anyway. And so I'm going to go ahead and put in a symbol here. Now, most of the time when I'm looking at a a chart, I know what chart I want to look at. Like I want to go look at Apple, I want to look at Google, or I want to look at something that I've scanned for. So in the case that you know the instrument, you can just type the instrument up here. If you know what the symbol is, you just type in the symbol. You can type in a couple of symbols up here, and it's actually pretty easy to kind of manipulate. Okay, if you're not familiar with what the symbol is, you're kind of looking for the name of a company. Over here, you can actually come over to the instrument search box. It'll open up a kind of a pretty cool little search box that allows you to search by name or symbol. Like, let's go ahead and look for Apple. LE. And then that'll list all the stuff that has Apple in it. A little bit of a note with over-the-counter securities, with Reuters, because Apple trades in so many different places. A lot of times you have an exchange code. With like the three-letter symbols like DIA, IBM, you usually don't have an exchange code. But with like the four-letter symbols or things that trade like on the NASDAQ, you're going to put a .o after it. So for example, if we wanted to pull Apple, we'd put AAPL.O, and that would pull you the whole consolidated market for Apple. You can also do OQ, which is the NASDAQ only. For most symbols, if you're doing stocks, most of the time if it's a four-letter symbol, you'll add a .o at the end. And if you kind of just keep that in mind, it makes things a lot easier. So if we wanted to add Apple here, we would do AAPL.o. And that's a symbol, or actually I had it correct the first time, APPL.o. So that's one thing to kind of be aware of with Reuters. It takes a little bit to get used to, but it's not too big of a deal. Okay. Now, if you've run, so you can basically just type any symbol here to get to a chart. The other thing that you can do is if you kind of have run the scan, I'm going to show you how to run the Wendy Kirkland scan and kind of get the results. You might have that saved as a list. I'm going to show you how to save a list. You might have a list of stocks that you've made in MetaStock that you want to look at and that kind of stuff. In that particular case, what you're going to see is you're going to see this list of securities that you can pick from. And there are, with our Reuters data coverage, there's 376,000 issues you can actually load into the software. Any of your custom lists are going to be right here under the custom list tree. So I've got quite a few custom lists that I've got. Here's my short list. I've got my new list. And so you can open them up. Like for example, if I wanted to look at the Wendy Kirkland 7.4 buys, I can just click on this. I could click on the first one. I can open the chart right from the list. This is the other way I actually look at stuff as well. So I'm going to show you that in a little bit more detail in a second. Down here is just a listing of all the securities. So maybe you want to come down into, let's say, index constituents. Right here we've got the index lists that are all available. And so like if I wanted to look at stocks that are in the Dow, for example, there's a list of those 30 stocks that are in there. Click on that and you can just open up the first one if you want. So again, there's a couple of different ways to do this. You can select instruments. You could select multiple ones, like you could select quite a few of these and open them up. You can just type in the symbols that you're interested in, or you can kind of go in from a previous scan that you've run. Okay. Most of the time you're either going to be, I would say from a normal usage case, you've ran a scan and you want to look at the results of that scan, or you just want to look at a stock or an instrument and you just type it up here. So let's go ahead and type in an instrument, DIA. You notice when I do that, this grays out by itself. So I'm just going to open up DIA, which is the Dow Jones Industrial ETF, in case you're not aware. Okay. No questions yet. So over here, just leave this on load default records unless you want to load in a lot of data. Reuters does have a lot of data, so if you want to load the maximum records they've got, you can go ahead and click on this. For the most part, you can just leave this where it is. Right here, I'm going to set my interval to daily. Okay, so I'm going to open up a daily chart. You can obviously set whatever you want. And with Wendy Kirkland's add-on, there are a bunch of different templates that are available in MetaStock. But at least while you're getting started, I'd recommend that you open it up with Wendy Kirkland stuff because that's generally what you're going to be using. And then you can kind of branch out as you kind of get a little bit more comfortable with it. But here, if you click on this apply template, you can come down to the very bottom of this list, and right here we've got a few. Now there's clean and full. Okay, this WK main is not part of the product. I think we renamed the main template full. So you'll have two in this list. It'll be Wendy Kirkland clean and Wendy Kirkland full. The difference is the full one displays all of the indicators, while the clean one just displays like one of Wendy's indicators. So it's up to you in terms of which one you want to add to that. I'm just going to do the full for now. By attaching it with the template, what it's going to do is it's going to open up all of the indicators that are used in this methodology, as well as attach to the expert that has all the buy and sell signals as part of it. I'm going to go ahead and click on the Open Chart button. We'll go ahead and open up the chart. I'm going to talk to you a little bit about how you can kind of manipulate and make this chart your own if you want. So this is exactly how yours should look. I haven't made any modifications to this. I'm going to go ahead and kind of zoom in. We did have a buy signal right here on the Kirkland, which was a pretty good one, I'd say. You've got her indicators that she uses, as well as the, and these are all just kind of pre-applied for you. So based on kind of the way that she would say it, you're also going to see like your buy and sell signals. Had a sell signal right here after that dramatic crash that we had after the Brexit crash. And you can kind of see how all those look on the chart. Okay. Once you've got this open, you can feel free to modify it if you want to put your own averages on there, if you want to put volume. Notice volume's not on here. If you want to kind of make things a little bit different, it's fairly easy to do. Like so, for example, if I wanted to make these indicator windows a little bit smaller, I can just kind of drag them around to where they're a little bit smaller on the chart. That one's a little too small. So I can see the chart a little bit better. Pretty easy. You just drag the windows to the size that you want. Let's say you wanted to add a moving average or two to the chart, or maybe you wanted to add a window with volume, that kind of stuff. It's fairly easy to do. Right here we've got our indicator quick list. I'm going to go ahead and click on the down arrow right here, this down arrow, to show you again. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to come down to moving average, and I'm just going to grab it. So we're going to apply a moving average to this. So it's a drag and drop operation, which means I find the indicator I want. There's a couple hundred in here. I left click on my mouse, and then I drag it to where I want it to be. So if I want it to be in this window, I just drop it here. You'll notice that if I drop it here, the price is applied, which means I'm going to apply it to price. Whereas if I come down here, I can actually apply it to one of the other indicators if I want to. Notice how that's pink right now, and that's pink. So whatever I pointed at is what it's going to apply to. So I'm just going to apply it to price. We'll do a 50-period simple. And you just notice you just make the selections as you go. I'm going to come over to the color style tab. I'm going to go ahead and make it black. I'm going to go ahead and click on OK. And there we've got that. Anytime you want to change things, maybe you want to change this this color now that you've dropped it. Easiest way to change something that exists already in MetaStock is to double click on it. The parameters page comes back up. I'm going to go ahead and make this a little bit of a brighter color than let's say the black. We'll click on apply. I'll click on close. Now I've got a blue thing. The same thing is true with the price style. For example, if you want to change this from a candlestick to maybe like a candle volume or an aqua volume or something along those lines, you can double click right on the price bars. Here it'll come up with the price line styles, and you'll have candle volume or aqua. Let's just do candle volume. We'll go ahead and click on apply. And you'll notice with candle volume, it just makes the bars a little bit fatter for bigger volume days, so that visually you have a clue that the volume was a little bit bigger that day. Okay, go ahead and change that back. Click apply. Again, I just double click on it, go back to apply, and there you go. If you want to add indicators that are basically kind of like volume, where you kind of want them in their own pane, volume is an indicator. It's very easy to add. I'm just going to find it here again in this alphabetical list. And since I don't want to really necessarily drop it here, I could. I'm going to actually drop it right here in its own window. And you'll notice if I just point it between panes, or at the very top, or at the very bottom, I can actually open up a new window pretty much automatically. I'm going to make volume black because volume should be black in my opinion. And now I can see that we don't have a lot of volume on this upward movement, but we kind of have an idea of what the volume looks like every day. Okay. And again, if you wanted to add, going back to the moving average, if you wanted to add a moving average to volume, which I actually kind of like to look at because I like to see if it's above or below average volume, just grab this moving average. off of the quick list, go ahead and point it at the chart, and we'll do a 50 period simple based on the volume. I'm going to merge out with the scale on the right, and I can see today we had a little bit slightly higher than average volume. So that's kind of it in terms of manipulating the charts. I'm going to go ahead and close out that window here. Okay, close, yes. And show you just how to use some of the drawing tools, how to switch between charts, and then we'll go back in and show you how to run ads and that kind of stuff. Don't have a lot of questions yet, which, again, feel free to ask with any questions that you've got. So I'm going to let's kind of work with what we've got here. Over here, or where you're going to find all of the line studies for MetaStock. So they're all pretty easy to use. Like if you hover over them, they tell you exactly what you're doing. Like for example, if I hover over this, it says trend line. So I just click on the trend line tool, and it's just a matter of drawing it on the chart where you want it. Pretty easy. Okay. Delete. Go ahead and get rid of that. Down here, if you like to make notes, like for example, let's say we took this buy, you could say I bought one contract, delta, whatever, strike. You could make whatever notes. This will save this automatically for you anytime you put notes on the chart. So that's just this ABC tool. If you're into Fibonacci studies or some of the other studies that are in MetaStock, those are all available as well. If you just click right here, you're going to go between the different options and the different drawing tools. And again, they work like the trendline tool. So if we wanted to put a fib retracement from this high to this low, or from this low to this high, can see exactly what my fib retracement levels look like. So again, it's all pretty easy to use. A couple of things that let's see. I'm actually trying to delete this from my chart. I like to keep my charts kind of clean. We'll leave it on there. I give up. Right here, we're going to go into and talk a little bit about the commentary and how to get that up and how to manipulate that. So we do have an expert advisor attached, which means we have an expert commentary that's available for us to view in most cases. So if we have buy and sell signals on the chart, we can go in and see what Wendy's feedback on a specific buy or sell signal was at any given time. So if I come in here, I can actually click on view, and I can view the expert commentary. You'll notice when I actually apply this commentary, when you initially do it the first time, it's going to be kind of overlaid here on the chart somewhere. Like it might be like hovering around here. This is a dockable window. So, and what that means is I can dock it over on this side. If you prefer, you can put it on this side. It just kind of docks in to kind of where you put it. Okay, and you can do it on the top or bottom, but usually it's better to dock them on the sides. You'll also notice that there's a little bit of a triangle that displays right above that bar. Okay, and when basically what this is telling you is this commentary is displaying for this day here. Okay, so right now it's looking at the current day. Right now we did have a buy signal. We probably would have exited based on Wendy's rules right here when the CCI started to dip down a little bit, or right here when it crossed out down below. But how would we know that? On the buy signal days, it's actually going to tell you exactly what the criteria rules are. So if we come back down here, and I just moved over to this buy signal, now I've moved the triangle over, so it's ignoring this data here. And now it's just basically looking and telling us what it would have told us about 20 days ago when this buy signal was generated on the 6th. Okay, so in this particular case, it's telling us it's indicating a long buy opportunity. Okay, this module is taken into account, tells you a little bit about the system. I have to cough. Give me a sec. Here, it's going to give you some advice. Drink a little water. In terms of what you should be looking at. So since we're looking at a daily chart, and it goes by it, we would look at intermediate term call options 2 to 3 months out before the expiration date when it's based on a daily chart. If we're looking at an intraday chart, we'd go 2 months out. When based on a 60-minute chart, 2 to 3 weeks out. So it tells us exactly what to look for in terms of our expiration. On a daily, we'd be looking for 2 to 3 minutes out, or 2 to 3 weeks out, or 2 to 3 months out on a daily. Okay. Um, Depending on time frame, option traders will typically look at call options that are out of the money or one out of the money with a delta of 40 plus. So she's being really specific about the moneyness, where you want to pick your stock price, and she's also being very specific about the delta you want to choose. Conservative, if you want to be more conservative with this play, you should consider the call option that's more in the money or has more intrinsic value, usually 1 to 2 strikes in the money, and has a delta of about 60. Once long, here's how you should look to get out of the position. Because there's quite a few different ways to get out of the trade. We don't actually put the exits in this particular add-on, but again, she's really specific about how to get out. You should place a stop loss order at today's low. Okay, so what we're going to say is, okay, we'll go ahead and buy here, but if it goes down below the low price, then we're going to get out. So we've immediately got a stop in place. Or yesterday's low, whichever is less. So this, we would use today's low because it's higher or lower than yesterday's low. Traders should then exit the position at least 2 weeks before the option's expiration date. So the most we're ever going to hold this is 2 to 3. So if we get 2 to 3 months out and we wait for 2 to 3 weeks, the most we'll ever hold something is going to be, you know, a month and a half or 2.5 months, depending on whether you go 2 or 3 months out. Okay. Once established in a trade, you should exit the position. When this happens, she doesn't want you taking a lot of time decay. And if you ever looked at a time decay graph on an option, the last week is terrible. So once a trade is open, you should put a stop loss order here. Again, this is just the lowest value of either this lows or this low. That's your initial loss. And then you can consider taking a profit when the Kirkland reaches an extreme high, okay, and then begins to turn down. So if we looked at the Kirkland oscillator here, it reached an extreme high, started to come down. Any of this period in here would be a good time to start to exit the trade. When the CCI turns negative, or 2 to 3 weeks, 2 weeks before the option's expiration date. So again, she really spells this out for you in terms of what you should be doing with the trade. And again, you'll see opportunities here that don't necessarily pan out, but you're not taking the thing that's so good about this thing is you really don't give it a lot of wiggle room. If it doesn't work, well, you just get out, and if you're wrong, you can always get in again later. So I like the fact that the tights are very, very close on this, and then obviously, so you will take some losses, but you're going to get some of these really good moves as well. Okay, then it just talks a little bit about her, but this is where you're going to get that advice. Okay, and again, to get to this, once you've got the chart open, you just click on View Expert Commentary, and it'll pop up for you, and then just dock it to one side or the other. Okay. Couple of other things before, obviously, kind of the workflow that you're going to use is going to be scanning. And I'm definitely going to kind of cover how to run scans inside of MetaStock. It's a very important part of the program, one of the key core features. Before we get into that, I want to show you kind of just a few other things that will be helpful for you. So let's just kind of go up here. This is a scanning tool. I'm going to show you that in a second. Here, this just refreshes the data. Okay. Here you can change time frames if you want to go into a different time frame. It's pretty easy to do. You just click on this D. We can then look at an hourly chart of the Dow Jones Industrial Average. It'll just go and grab the data for us. I'm going to go back to daily, actually. You could obviously go into weekly, monthly, that kind of stuff as well. This just rescales your axis. So for example, if you kind of mess it up a little bit, you can click on this and it just pops it back into shape for you. So that's this button here. This will actually show you all of the data. So if I click on this, it's going to show us all of the buys and sells back to the beginning of time. We could go in and kind of take a look at them historically. This right here will zoom you out a little bit. This will zoom you in a little bit. So you can kind of use this to zoom in pretty quickly. The other thing that you can do, if you want to kind of zoom in on a specific region of a chart, you can also just click on this little zoom box and draw a little circle around kind of what you want to see, so you can kind of see it a little bit closer. Okay. One of the things about MetaStock is anytime you want to change symbols, you can literally, as long as you don't have anything selected, you can just start typing. So for example, if I wanted to, I'm actually kind of curious about this, if I wanted to go in and see what Apple was doing today, I'm going to just start typing a symbol, AAPL.O. That'll actually show us all the symbols that are available. You'll notice that it comes back into this instrument search dialog box. I can switch to Apple right here. Now, if you're using the Kirkland stuff and you want to switch to a chart while still maintaining all of your indicators for the Kirkland stuff, what I'd recommend you do is actually, this is a one-time setting. Click on this option button, and instead of using smart charts, click on use chart as template, and then select your chart. Because when you do that, that way, it's always going to retain the same layout that you're looking at. Ooh, wow, that was a pretty good buy signal right there. And now I can actually just, you only had to set that once. So for example, now if we're switching charts, IBM, that setting is remembered for me. So I can just come down here, choose IBM, select instrument, and it's still going to kind of retain that view. So you just have to do that once and it's going to be done for you. It's pretty good. Is there anything else about charting that I do want to show you? We'll come back to this part. One of the things that's really nice about MetaStock, the way I like to use it, is I like to run a scan. I'll go in and find those parameters, those criteria, the stocks that currently have a buy-sell signal. Obviously, everything we've looked at so far hasn't had a buy or sell signal for today as far as I know. But the idea is you want to find the ones that have a good buy and sell signal opportunity for today. So that's where scanning comes into play. And so let me do that. Let's go ahead and go into the scanning. I want to go back to the Power Console to run the scan, so I'm going to click on this P right here. That'll open up my Power Console. We'll go ahead and click on the Exploration right here, and that's going to give us a list of all of the explorations. Now, there's going to be quite a few of these. I have a lot because I build a lot of explorations, and it's actually pretty easy to go in and build stuff as you learn more about MetaStock. If you want to build your own pre-filter explorations or do your own thing, you can. And it's fairly straightforward to do. But for now, there's two that are kind of built into the Wendy Kirkland add-on. There's this pre-filter and then the automatic swing trader. The automatic swing trader is the one that's actually going to go through and tell you all of the stocks that have buys for a particular day. The pre-filter is actually set up to build a list for you. So you run the scan against a big list. It goes in and kind of looks for volume and price and kind of makes a list for you. So to run either, you could run them both if you wanted to. You just select both of them. But pretty much what you're going to do is run the pre-filter every few months or so, and then just save the list and then kind of go through it from there. What I'm going to do is I'm actually going to run the automatic swing trader, so we're going to look for buy and sells. And you only want to do this if against stocks, because it's looking for stuff that has $25 or higher, so it doesn't make sense to run it on like, let's say ETFs, or let's say currencies, which are never going to be above $25 or higher, except for in really extreme cases with currencies you don't want to trade. So you just run that pre-filter on stocks. So here I'm going to select the automatic swing trader. Okay, I'm going to move this up a little bit so we can kind of get a clearer view of the instrument list. This is the same instrument list that we worked with before. So right here I can run a pre-filtered list if I wanted to. If I'd ran the pre-filter scan and save that as a list, I could run that. Or I could run it against my portfolio. Maybe I put in 15 or 20 stocks that I wanted on my own list and wanted to scan those. You could do that. Down here you've got all of the available lists. So, and by default, you'll notice these are just trees. So if it looks like this, just click on this little arrow. It's going to push that out. If I click on this again, it's going to push it out a little bit more. One of the things I think they've done a really good job of was with 376,000 instruments, I think they did a good job of organizing it. So if you're in Asia and you want to follow Asian stocks, you can click right here. You have all the Asian stocks. Whereas if you're just interested in the North American stuff, you click on this, and it breaks down all the North American stuff for us. So the categories that we have is we could scan all the ETFs. That's the scan I ran as we started. Okay, you could scan all the optionables. You could scan, and you'll notice I'm just check marking the ones that I want to scan against. Or you can scan everything on the NYSE or the NASDAQ. And at this point, right now, it gives you a running count. So right now, if I ran the scan, it would go against, it would scan against 14,159 securities. So it kind of gives you an idea of how many you're running. They also do have, if you just want to trade stuff that you know belongs on an index, you can come down here to index constituents. You're going to be able to find the index that you're interested in here. So like I could run the scan against the Dow Industrial, and I could run it against the S&P 500, or whatever it is that you're interested in. They also do have breakdowns on sectors and industries and that kind of stuff. So right now we've got a pretty big scan. I am not going to run this as a scan, but this is the way you would set it up. I'm going to jump to the reports and show you how to manipulate and work with the reports. So, but I do want to show you how to set it up because, again, it's an important part. I just don't want to hum Jeopardy for a couple of minutes while it runs. So over here, under data loading, use load minimum records. That'll be fine. If you wanted to, like, it's always going to do the most current bar. So right now I've got it set at daily. It's going to scan for today. If you want to go in and look at how signals would have appeared in the past and, maybe you paper trade them out from there or whatever, you can. You just take this check mark out and you can put any date that you want right here. Okay, I'm going to leave it on the current exchange and time. So, and then you want to use the filter because it's going to filter out everything that doesn't have a buy or a sell. And then you can just start the exploration. You just click on this, literally this Start Exploration button, and it'll run the scan. It'll take a couple minutes, but it usually doesn't take too long. Depends on your internet connection. Once you get done, it pops up a little thing that says I'm done. I'm going to go in and you can view the report from that button. It says, do you want to view the report? You say view report. If you want to come back and look at one you've already run, just right click on it. You'll notice it has a little R right here, which means there's a report that you've run. And you just click on the report button. And what comes up, it came up on my other screen, so I'm just dragging it over here so you can see it. I'm going to make it a little bit bigger. What we've got here is we've got two columns. This was a scan that I ran against all of the ETFs, so all the exchange traded funds. We've got two columns. We've got one that says long here. Okay, we've got a column that says short, and basically a 1 means it's a buy signal if it's in the long column. And a 1 in the short column means it's a sell signal. So they won't have a 1 in both. It's either a long or short. One of the things that she looks for, that Wendy likes to look at, is what the ATR, or the average true range, is. Obviously, if you have a stock with a better ATR, moves more, you can make more money with it. And so what I decided to do when we designed out the product was to actually include that as a value you could look at here in the scan without even looking at the chart. So if we wanted to actually look at the ATRs, we could actually sort them by this value and we can see exactly what your ATR value is. Okay. Let's see. And obviously with stocks, I think she wanted 250. I'd have to look at the manual, but I think it was 250 or higher. Since these are ETFs, you're not going to get the same amount of ATR. So it looks like, but now what I want to do is I've got a list out of the 1,800 or so ETFs. I've got a list of maybe 20 stocks, 20 ETFs I want to look at. And so I can actually come in here and I can open the chart right here if I want to. And I could open up all 20 if I wanted to, but usually what I do, just to I like to look at one thing at a time. And I like to make a judgment call as I look at that thing. Okay, I like this one, I'm going to look at it more. I don't like this one, I'm not going to look at it as more. And the easiest way I find to do that is I actually make a list. So I'm going to save this as a list. You see it's an option right here. Okay, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to create a new list. So this would be my Kirkland list, and I usually put a date on it. In this case, I scanned it on 7/26. I'm going to go ahead and create this list. Okay, I'll go ahead and now you'll notice it's a list right here. I click OK, it adds those 20 or so securities straight to that list. Okay, now we can close out of here. We've already got those all saved. I'm going to click on the chart view again, and that list will be available. It's going to be under this custom data online list. So right here, I should see that Kirkland 726 list. And now, what I usually do is I don't select all 26 of them. You certainly could. Again, I like to kind of keep things, I want to look at them one at a time. I want to make a decision one at a time on whether or not I want to kind of narrow down the list. And it's just a better workflow for me. If you want to look at all 26, you can just put a check mark right there. What I do though, is I put a check mark right on the first one. So I'm going to open up, this case, 1 of 18. Okay, I'll go ahead and open up the chart. Again, I'm using actually let's use the Wendy Kirkland clean template this time, so you can kind of see what that looks like. I'll go ahead and open up the chart, and my first one on the list is going to come up. This one had obviously a sell signal today. I'm going to zoom in a little bit. I don't like this one. Automatically, I just don't like this one. Even though the last buy is pretty good, it looks like it's pretty shoddy in terms of kind of the trades. In some cases, it looks like there's hardly any range. I just don't like this one. You know, personal opinion. So what I want to do is I want to look at the next one, right? The next one on my list. And the easiest way to do that is you just click on this little button right here, this little arrow that points to the next or the previous. You click on next, and now I'm looking at the next one on that list that we just saved. I don't like this one either. So that's kind of the process that you go through. This one I kind of like. What is this one? Oil and gas. Issued a buy signal today. So we can zoom in a little bit here. We could look at the commentary if we want. This might be one that we could consider. Or we go to the next one. Maybe we don't like it. But very quickly now you can go through and find out of the 18 which are the ones that you want to trade. So that pretty much wraps up what I wanted to show you. I wanted to show you kind of how to manipulate charts. Wanted to show you how to run your scans. I hope it's been helpful for you. I don't see a lot of questions that have come in. Hopefully that doesn't mean you're sleeping, but we'll leave it open. There are a few other things I want to make sure that you're aware of as well. Let me open up an internet browser here, and let's go ahead and bring it over here. Couple things. Obviously, MetaStock's a huge tool. This is designed to be a boot camp class for you. I'm going to go up to our website, metastock.com, and I just want to show you a couple of resources that are available on here for you. So if you click on the support option, right here you've got quite a few things that are available. If you need technical support, we have some pretty crazy hours. They're open very late into the night. So if I click on tech support here, okay, let's see. Let's go to actually the main support page. There's some contact options that are available here. You can submit an email. You can call us. You can also do online chat if you just click here, right here on this link. So metastock.com, click on the main support page. It'll open up this page, and it has the phone number and then the chat link. The hours for phone support is 6 a.m. to 5 p.m. That's Mountain Standard Time. So in Eastern, that's 8 a.m. to 7 p.m. Wait. That's not right. It's 4 a.m. No, that's right. That's right. I should trust myself. 8 a.m. to 7 p.m. Online chat, they keep open from 8 a.m. Mountain Time, which is 10 a.m. No, it's 6 a.m. Eastern to 9:30 p.m. Mountain Time, which is 11:30 p.m. Eastern Time. So you can always go up there and chat with them. I would recommend, I think MetaStock is an incredible toolbox. I'm not trying to sell it to you, but it's been rated #1 in its price category for like 24 years in a row. It's incredible. But like any other toolbox, the better you understand how to use it, the better it's going to work for you. So if you're on this main support page and you want to go through some training, some other videos, you click on this online training button right here. If you scroll down a little bit, you're going to see basic and advanced videos. And if you have real time, you might want to also look at some of these Zenith videos, which are really, really good. These are, what I prefer to do is if you click on this support basic, it's going to take you up to our YouTube channel. And you'll notice, here's just a little 9-minute lesson on how to open up charts, and here's a little 7-minute video on how to run scans. And we didn't talk about the forecaster, but it's a really cool tool, and you can learn about it in 3 minutes. So this is a pretty good resource for you. If you're stuck or if you need help, let us know. And again, no questions. So thanks for coming tonight. I hope that was helpful for you. If you need to get a hold of me, let's see here. You've got my email address. I will send a recording of tonight's little bootcamp class to you. And let me know if there's anything I can do to help you. I appreciate your time. Thank you for buying the Kirkland add-on, and I hope you enjoy it. and I will see you at the next training class.